6 days to the election, and two opinion polls show that it's neck and neck between the NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga and the Jubilee presidential candidate President Uhuru Kenyatta.
In the Ipsos poll, Kenyatta maintains a steady lead, 3 points ahead of his closest rival, NASA's Raila Odinga. The Infotrak poll shows that the NASA candidate Raila Odinga is 1 point ahead of President Kenyatta.
Ken Mijungu with the latest figures.
This election, without a doubt, in the eyes of the pollsters, is too close to call. It can go either way.
Of different kinds of threats.
According to Ipsos poll, the leading candidate remains President Uhuru Kenyatta. The poll also puts his party as the most preferred. But this could change, and herein lies the tiebreaker, the undecided voters. According to Ipsos, unless aided by the undecided 5%, there will be no outright winner, as gaining the requisite 50+1 votes if elections were to be called today will be a challenge. This also points to a possibility of a runoff if the 5% undecided ultimately fail to make up their mind in time for the next week's election.
I don't know of any way when someone says, Sijamua, if we know whether they really decided and they're being shy or whether they really need something else to make up their mind.
The Ipsos survey puts Uhuru and Ruto 3 points ahead of Raila and Kalonzo, while Infotrak puts Raila marginally ahead of Uhuru Kenyatta, who has 48%. Ipsos also reveals that Jubilee remains the most popular party among voters, followed by NASA. The confidence on the IEBC is also at an all-time high. However, it has fallen by 20 points compared to the same period back in 2013.
Raila is doing very well in Coast, but there are fewer people than in Central. Raila is doing very well in Nairobi. Well, Nairobi's got 2.2, but there are far more people in the Rift Valley. So don't just add up the numbers, add up votes.
According to the survey, Uhuru Ruto is leading in 3 regions, namely Central with 88%, Eastern 50%, the Rift Valley at 65%, while NASA, on the other hand, leads in the Coast at 61%, in Nairobi at 56%, Northeastern at 54%, Nyanza at 80%, and Western at 64%.
Remember, we make it very clear, because even in the last 10 days or 9 days, we finished all these interviews on Sunday. Most of them were done the previous week, and things have been happening. Maybe people who we interviewed on the 23rd or 24th of July have changed their minds since. And there's still another week, and we say a week is a long time in politics.
On the other hand, Infotrak shows that Raila Odinga is leading at the Coast with 63%, Eastern 51%, Western 79%, Nyanza 86%, and Nairobi at 56%, while President Kenyatta is leading in Northeastern with 48%, Central 92%, and the Rift Valley at 65%. In the Ipsos survey, Nyanza has registered the greatest election-related violence reported and documented at 20%, while Central has registered at least 3%. The respondents also believe there will be the greatest possibility of violence stemming from national and presidential election, and least involving county and local elections. Majority of those polled, who are also NASA supporters, say the country is headed in the wrong direction at 82%. Overall, 30% believe it's headed in the right direction, while 50% say it's headed for the wrong direction. Extremism and terror attacks is no longer the main threat of security in the country, with only 2% attributing it. Thieves and robbers are now the greatest threat at 28%. The other causes are jobless youth, livestock rustlers, and political rivalry. Ken Mijungu, NTV.